Okay. I think. All right, we're going to have to see. Oh, there we go. It's live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome to the Sofia Papa Show. I'm Sofia, and I'm with my dad.
I'm the Papa guy.
Yeah, his real name is John, and he has a podcast, The Wholehearted Man. So go check that out.
Thank you. So all right, we're gonna see if anybody actually watches this.
And we have
That's the goal.
Yeah, and we have a bet. If 5 people watch, then I get a pair of new headphones because these are piano headphones.
Right. That's all I had.
Not too happy. Well, you have those perfectly fine ones, but you say they're
Well, no, they won't
bad.
plug in. They won't plug in. You can't hear it right. All right, what is this? It is Saturday, July 8th. June 8th. It is 8:17 p.m. Sun is going down. It's almost the longest day of the year. That's coming up in a couple weeks.
Midsummer Night Party.
Yeah, we're not going to do a party this year, though.
What?
No, next year. That's the gong. All right, so we're just out here seeing if anything is going on. It says there's one person watching. That's probably us. Or it might be our neighbor Terrence. It could be. If he's there, he could definitely type something. I'm gonna type hi.
Person who's watching us, because sorry if your name's not person. I'm really sorry.
I gotta figure this out. I gotta adjust this.
And today we're going to be talking about manners and John Peterson, right?
Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, not John Jordan. So
I know, I'm like producing the show, doing music, trying to get everything dialed in. Careful, that's not too loud in your microphone. Because everybody can hear all that. It's like super loud. I know your headphones aren't, full coverage, so it's not as easy to hear as I can. So you just got to trust me. All right, so.
What?
Bring it on down. What, honey?
What?
What?
Never mind.
The music's on. Okay, so we're going to talk about manners.
And
Dr. Jordan Peterson and just general life lessons and stuff like that. So we were discussing earlier manners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
at Starbucks.
Right.
I love Starbucks.
Yeah. You like going there, not the coffee. We don't ever think I'm feeding you coffee. You're just naturally this bouncy off the walls.
I'll take that as a compliment, not an insult, which I should be taking it as.
You should be taking that out of your face. Okay.
Oh my God.
Let's see. So we were talking about manners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what are manners? We actually realized manners, there's a better word for it. Do you remember where it is or what it is?
Something like an
etiquette.
Etiquette.
Yes.
Because there's different sections of manners. Like there's table manners. There's the way you treat people. There's the way you treat yourself. There's
Sure. Well, manners are manners, but there's different levels of manners, meaning between different groups is what the definition said. Between technically different classes of people, just different groups of people, socially and economically, right? There's manners between countries. It's not necessarily anything to do with money all the time. So, right, there's different customs and manners where something in one country can mean something really bad, and in another country can be a total compliment. I think I read something actually or heard something the other day where like burping at the end of a meal in one country, like here, it's rude. In another country, it's a compliment. I mean, who knows if that's true? I didn't research it, but.
Yep. I mean, you can't help burping, but if you burp, you at least say, "Excuse me."
Right. Well, you can help burping. I mean, unless sometimes, but yes.
Yeah, you just hold your breath and then the sting goes out.
Oh, yeah.
one.
See, that we got to have manners on the show, right? So we got to have a little better etiquette on the show, even though that is kind of funny and true. Definitely. Right. Just because it's true doesn't mean that it needs to be said or talked about.
Life lesson.
There you go. Life lesson number 1.
Yeah,
okay.
on this show.
So let's see. So what do you were telling me yesterday after you got back from school when I picked you up that somebody was chewing with their mouth open at lunch or wherever, and you didn't like that. And don't say names or anything.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 people. Actually, there's like a lot of people in my class who were chewing with their mouth open. So I asked ones, and they didn't. They're like, whatever. So I moved.
You asked ones what? You got to...
I once asked, can you please stop chewing with their mouth open? Oh. And they didn't stop. So it it was gross to me, and I didn't want to see that. So I moved to another table. And then I was sat next to somebody else that was chewing with their mouth open, actually 2 people. And I asked them to stop, and they didn't, so that bothered me. So I moved to a different part of the table, and then finally I was sitting with girls, but because I was always sitting, I was sitting with boys.
Yeah.
But because I usually play with boys, but when I moved to a part of the table where it's girls tend to have a little more manners than...
A little better manners. Yeah, boys sometimes can be behind the curve, but it's also just what the parents teach them. Because you and I haven't talked about chewing with your mouth open in such a long time. And then I was actually surprised that you said that yesterday. That's good. I mean, you don't want to run around and be telling everybody what to do, because that's part of etiquette too, right? Manners is not always telling everybody, hey, can you close your mouth? I mean, I think, if they're your friends and you're like, hey, would you mind closing your mouth, because it's kind of annoying, because there's the sound of it I don't like. And then there's also, go ahead.
You could see the food.
Right.
And then it's also quite rude when you ask them to stop and then they start doing it more. That is
of course, because
rude.
You're asking them to stop, and it's not really your place to tell them what to do. I mean, it's not like a bad thing to ask, as long as, especially if you're like polite, but if you're
just straight up rude about it, then that is not fun for the other person to be told in a rude way what to do.
Right. But so anyways, let's see, what other kind of manners? Because we've never really talked about manners a whole lot. I think we have over time, like little things here and there, like we don't.
Because I used to chew with my mouth open.
Right. But what other kind of manners are there? What can you think of?
A lot of people in my school interrupt people. Yeah. Especially me, because I talk a lot.
No.
No way.
You interrupt a little too. I mean, we all do. Yeah, that's something to watch out for.
But sometimes you do it on accident, and then the person starts blaming us when we thought they were done talking. And that's also can be rude sometimes, because you didn't know, then you're just being yelled at, or somebody starts crying. Because some people are sensitive. I'm not trying to be rude, but some people are sensitive, and they take some things the wrong way. Like, I have a friend in my school. She isn't the nicest friend, but so, let's see, how am I going to word this? So I was like, so we were playing this game, and then I didn't know that we were going to play this game, because I guess she didn't. I was sitting, I guess I couldn't hear her, and then I'm like, well, we're playing singers. I'm like, okay, but I didn't hear that, and she's like, well, maybe you should. Then I'm like, next time, can you please speak louder? But instead of speak louder, I used a fancy word. I said, next time, can you please project your voice more? And she's like, well, maybe you should get a hearing aid. I'm like, that's offensive.
No, Well, see, so let's talk about offensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about snowflakes before, right? So being offensive, or go ahead.
Not the snowflakes, the ones made out of snow. The snowflakes that we're talking about is kids that are really sensitive, and if they don't get their way, they kind of like pout, or how would I word this?
Yeah, I think at your age, that's kind of what it is. As you get older, where the term kind of came from is more millennials or older kids that if you say something they don't agree with, they tend to have a meltdown and they can't handle being told no. They can't handle a disagreement. And, some of these colleges have created safe spaces because somebody's coming on campus to talk about something that they don't agree with. So apparently some of these kids can have like little bits of meltdowns. And, they need that safe place to go to. But I also have a feeling it's not as prevalent as sometimes the media makes it out to be. But the fact that there are people like that, I mean, there's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But a lot of people find everything offensive now. So if you say anything, no matter what did they told you to, maybe get a hearing aid or something like that. I mean, to me, that's not offensive. I don't know. I don't find anything hardly offensive. I mean, it's so hard to offend me because I just don't care. And I don't put that much stock in what somebody thinks when they're just being rude or off the wall. And I don't think there's a reason to just like, I don't know. I just can't imagine going into meltdown mode because somebody said something or being deeply offended by somebody saying so. Because I tend to have offended people my whole life. That's just kind of how I've grown up, and I've worked hard at redacting a lot of that and coming back to a better place. But it just doesn't bother me. I like to live in circles with people that can you can have a good time with and joke and talk about things. It's their actions at the end of the day that matter most. We could all crack a joke on something, but if they go and act that way, then that's not okay.
But social media, it's there's scams out there. There's lots of dangerous websites out there. But the one thing that they do is they make meltdowns and things that they put on video seem worse than it actually is. I mean, some things are true and believable, but some things are just it's not really believable. And from that minute, they are probably making it out bigger than it actually seems.
Yeah.
It's.
Do you have you and your friends talk about any websites they've seen? Have you heard anybody talking about any like crazy stuff at school? I've never asked you this.
No. I mean, we're in third grade.
I know, but there's a lot of people out there that let their kids just have the iPad or the computer and do whatever they want on it. You have a phone that's not even a cell phone. It's only here, and you get to watch the kids' version of YouTube, basically, and play a little Minecraft once in a while. That's about it.
I was playing Minecraft earlier today.
Yeah. You were building a pool on your house or something?
I was building.
You haven't touched that thing in so long.
I know. I don't, because you don't want to use it, so you barely even touch it, because that's kind of like wasting your money. But for you, it wasn't really wasting your money because you already had it, and you just gave it down to me.
Well, I think it was free, wasn't it? Or maybe I don't even remember.
It used to be your phone.
Oh, well, I didn't have Minecraft. I don't play video games.
I know, but you redid the technology stuff, and then you technology boom.
Well, yeah, boom. I just made it for you
and
for kids, so it's basically just kind of locked down. But anywho, what else is going on? Nothing. Do you want to talk about? So there's manners, right? We're talking about manners and different types of manners when you're out in public. Should you speak loudly and yell, or should you be more refrained in your speech and just talk at a lower voice.
Are you referring to the pool when I was yelling?
No, when I said I'm right here and I'm not across the other side of the pool. Well, look, kids and people just yell or they're loud. You know, some kids are very quiet. Some are more boisterous and louder than others. And that's
like
just,
me.
yeah. So that's where the parent comes in and just evaluates and says, hey, you know, but yeah. But I think, so do you think they should be, like, say if you're at the grocery store in the checkout line, should you be real loud while you're standing there? Or should you talk in a voice that basically you and the other person can hear and you don't disturb those around you?
Where you don't disturb others around you, but where the other person can hear you.
Right.
Hear you.
Right. Why? I mean, we kind of already answered that basically, but.
Well, you might interrupt other people's conversations with the loud yelling of you, and it is a little rude to yell in a store.
Well, right, but that's why we're asking why. So you're interrupting other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can interrupt their conversations. You can just, maybe they're not even having a conversation and they're just there. I know I've been in line. It's been a long day and buying groceries for dinner or something, and you're kind of tired and somebody else is just talking away on their phone and just loud, or just talking away real loud, or they're cursing and saying bad words. And it's just like, I don't need to hear this.
I know, it's like,
just keep it to yourself.
I know, just keep it quiet. Go somewhere private if you're doing the bad word thing.
Yeah.
So, because some people have kids.
Right.
And you don't want your kids hearing that.
Right.
And then if you tap on them and ask nicely, some people will just yell at you.
That is true.
Because they don't want to be interrupted.
Well, remember,
they think everything they should do is right, and they
right.
don't need to be told what to do.
I don't know if you let me adjust this here. I don't know if you remember when we went to Lucille's barbecue, and
you asked nicely for the person because the kid was on their phone, and you're like, can you turn the volume down? And then the person right next to it, lady.
Remember all that.
Lady.
Well, there was a kid on a phone when we rolled, got to our table, and it was just full blast. He was on the phone, and I was the only one at our table that was right catty corner across from him. So I just, I kind of tried to ignore it at first and just kept going in my ear. So I turned around and asked, look, father, was like, he turned out just a little. It's a little loud. And he just lost it. He was flipping me off. He was yelling at me. He wanted to fight. And then
the mother got offended because her children were.
No, that was the other table. Yeah. At the other table, heard what was going on, but they had no idea what had actually happened. They just heard, because we had eaten, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes had gone by. And then when the guy that was mad at me got up to leave, their family got up to leave, that's when he started, like, flipping me off and yelling and saying bad words and wanting to fight and do all this stuff. So I was like, what's the problem? I just asked a question. You didn't do it. You didn't have him turn it down. I never said anything, never turned back around. But, I mean, to me, that's bad parenting. It's like, you're out, so you're just literally having the phone babysit your child. You never bring electronics. You and your sister never have electronics when we go out. The only thing we ever do is maybe listen to music in the car,
Yeah, and you let me watch, barely let me watch the things and pick my own music. You normally pick.
Well, when you want the lyrics. Sometimes you like the lyrics.
Yeah, and then there's
radio.
Videos. You sometimes.
Well, because we're playing a video off of YouTube. Yeah, so it's the only way to play it. But yeah, and what are you gonna do? People just have no manners, yelling and screaming. The other family just only hears that bit of the conversation, was not privy to anything that happened, half hour before that,
and
then
offended.
Just started losing it.
Because she gets offended because she just heard one little bit of it and she doesn't even know what's going on, so she just loses it.
Right. So she's yelling at me, and then I'm like, you don't even know what's going on. And then the daughter jumps in and gets in my face and wants to fight me. It's like, okay. So, but you know what? I mean, that happens in life. You get people that just lose it. They can't handle someone
telling them what to do.
Well, I wasn't telling him what to do. I was asking if they could do that. He didn't do it. Yeah, he didn't do it. I tried to ignore it at first. And then when I was like, can you maybe just take it down a little? And wasn't having any part of that. There's nothing you can do. So it's all how I act after that, right? I don't think people should back down. I don't think good should ever back down because that allows evil to flourish. And I'm not equating these people being evil at all, but if you take it to its extreme, somebody who's really bad and doesn't speak up is almost just as bad because they're allowing it to happen. When you're a coward and you don't stand up for what's right, you allow that which is bad to happen.
And you let it to spread, and it's like a disease.
Yeah.
It just keeps on spreading and spreading, and unless you don't stop it, it's just going to keep on going.
Right. That's actually, I believe that's true. It takes good people to stand up to bad things or bad people to stop it. Otherwise, it starts to people think that it's a good thing to do, or it's okay to do. Not necessarily good, but okay to do.
They're like, yay, I can do it, and nobody really cares. It's just a thing. And some people do it on a regular basis, and
that's just how they act. Like they lie. People lie. That's something, right? They just kind of lie all the time. They think it's okay, and then
like and Sherry,
nope. It's okay. Go ahead.
And Sherry, not the.
No, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, no. But I know what you're saying. But no, yeah, we can't. We don't want to be talking about personal stuff. But let's see. We were also talking about Jordan Peterson, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
You had a question about it, right? We were driving, and I said to save it.
Yeah. Or you were saving it, so I'm like blah blah blah, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna save this for the podcast. Why? Because a lot of people think Jordan Peterson is a great person, and you do too. Like, your dream is to go to Antarctica and interview Jordan Peterson.
Well, let's clarify that. My bucket list on my dream one is to travel to Antarctica, and the other would be to have Jordan Peterson on my podcast. And I jokingly said if I could interview him in Antarctica, I would be in heaven. So that was kind of a joke. I don't think I'd really want to, interview him there necessarily. But yeah, so you said that, and then what was your question around?
What are Jordan you gonna do with them? You gotta love them. So my question was, so as I was saying, Jordan Peterson, a lot of people like Jordan Peterson, like you, but some are protesting because it's a free world, it's free speech in America.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are protesting that he shouldn't be allowed to speak, and sometimes men shouldn't be allowed to speak, and then basically then you're not allowed to speak because you're protesting for not being able to have free speech, but then you're not allowed to have free speech. And as you said, now these days everything is offensive. It's like,
I have to apologize. I was doing something on the computer and I half heard you. But what was the question you said?
Why do people
not like Jordan, or some people?
Why do some people dislike Jordan Peterson?
Right, and you were saying, I think you said in the car that they protested him.
Yeah.
So they were protesting him because they didn't like some of the things he said, and which is fine too, right? You shouldn't agree with everything. I don't necessarily agree with every single thing he says, but I agree with the majority. Yes.
speech.
But some people get deeply, quote unquote, offended. I don't think they're offended. But you asked me why, and I think these people that lose it over him are ideologically possessed. And what does that mean? That means their ideology is something that you believe in. So if you believe in God, or you believe in guns, or you believe in certain things, or no guns, what?
What do you mean, like, believe in guns?
Like you pray to the gun, like you get a gun and you pray to, no. That you believe in the right for Americans to bear arms.
Oh.
So the Constitution gives us the ability to own and bear arms. And there's kind of two arguments. Some people don't want anybody to have any guns, and other people say you can have guns, but you can't necessarily have like certain guns that are like a little crazy and what have you.
A shotgun.
Yeah, no, more like an assault rifle, stuff like that.
Or like a pistol.
No, pistols. But it's the bigger guns that shoot a lot of bullets really fast. That's kind of what it boils down to. Like a machine gun.
Wait, don't you have a rifle?
I have a rifle, but it doesn't shoot bullets really fast.
Oh.
There's different guns. But
okay.
So some people fervently believe you should not be able to have any guns. And they lose it if you have a gun. And they just can't believe you have a gun and you're the most horrible person. And they don't want to have anything to do with you. You're the enemy. Their ideology, what they believe around guns or what they believe around government or free speech or whatever the topic is so possessing them. Like they're taken over and they only can know and think of one thing around that. And you can't have necessarily a cogent, which means a clear and clear type of discussion with them, a cogent discussion with somebody that is so possessed by their ideology because they don't allow new information to come in. So if you can't allow the exchange of ideas, like what did we talk about earlier today? I said, if I have an apple and I give you an apple, you have an apple and I don't have an apple, right?
But if you give me an idea, so if you have an idea and then you give me the idea, then two people have the idea.
Exactly.
Then if I give somebody else an idea and you give the other person the idea, then four people have an idea.
Right.
And then it just spreads, and that idea might be great, and then the world would be a better place.
Assuming it's a good idea.
Yeah. I said it was a good idea, so let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's good. Everything's Gucci.
Gucci?
Gucci.
Is that what the kids say at school? Or is that just what you say?
That's just what I say.
Okay. Let's see. What else would you like to know about Dr. Jordan Peterson? Because I turned him on the way over here just for a few minutes, but I don't think you're totally paying attention.
Talking about, what was it?
Well, I don't know, but I'm wondering what, like, do you have any other questions?
Well,
I mean, I know you virtually know nothing about him. You've heard me talk about him a little bit.
I listened to him. I listened to a lot of people. I listened to Dr. Laura.
Yeah, we'll put her on the radio. Yeah,
a lot. and some people are calling about snow. Now we're talking about Dr. Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Changing topic.
Yes.
Dr. Laura.
Mm-hmm.
For one, she looks nothing like I pictured her. I thought she would look like Ellen, but she looks different. I actually.
Well, what is she? 72 years old too. I mean, we can look at pictures when she was younger. She looks very similar in ways. That's for sure. I know I've had that where you listen to somebody and listen to them, and you finally see a picture of them, and they don't look anything like you imagined. Yeah, that's always a trip.
Yeah, like I thought your dad would look. Had like, cause there was this go noodle that had this guy, and I always pictured when you were talking about your dad, I always pictured him of like a bald person, and then I saw a picture of your dad, and I'm like, that does not look like what I expected.
Really?
Mind tricks.
So anything else you want to talk about, or should we end the podcast or video cast or whatever they call this?
I don't want to end it. I want to say No, I don't want to end it. I want to talk about Dr. Laura.
Okay, what do you want to talk to her about? Or talk about?
So I'm going to do the questions.
Okay, you're going to interview me? You were saying you want to interview me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you necessarily think Dr. Laura is always right?
No.
Do you think she was always wrong?
No.
So you think she's in between. She's okay.
I think the majority of the time she's right. Sometimes I disagree with the way she goes about it, talking about it.
Yeah, and that's always good. You shouldn't, some people always are like, no, that's bad. Or some people are just like, yes, it's good. All she does is good and stuff. And that's not necessarily bad, but it's not necessarily good. Mm-hmm. It's more kind of...
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Bad than good, but it's
good to have a different opinion. Yeah, you never want to agree with... Right. If you agree with someone wholeheartedly, let's plug for the wholehearted man. If you agree with somebody wholeheartedly on a topic, that's great. But if you like everything they say, you just take that as your own, and you're just believing everything they say, that's not good. You got to think for yourself. You got to question everything. I've told you forever, question everything. Question your teachers, question me, question your friends, question news, question everybody. You do it right and polite, but if they say something you don't think is right or you don't disagree with, you can question that just could simply mean, hey, can you tell me more about that? Because I don't quite understand. Let me know more of your side on that.
Okay, let me try that. Hey, poster of the Congress.
Of what? The Constitution.
Constitution. Who wrote you? Okay, that's good answer. What are those names on the bottom?
Those are the people that signed the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, I'm going to back out because I'm literally talking to a poster.
Well, yeah, sorry. It's a Declaration of Independence, and then our Constitution is a different document. But yeah, that was signed by our forefathers, basically, of this country. And by signing that, they were also signing their death warrant if we lost the war against the English, the British.
The British?
It's British. They lost the war against the British.
Did we lose that war? I'm not talking about
Are we speaking
war.
British? Or are we speaking English? Granted, they're English too, I guess. So they speak English, but they speak the Queen's English. No, we won the War of Independence. With George Washington and all that.
It's like the South and the North.
That was the Civil War. That's where America, that was years later. Like, oh God, I don't even know the date, but it was almost like 100 years later where North America, so to speak, what was America at that time primarily, was fighting the South.
Because... Why?
Well, technically they've kind of always said to free the slaves. So the North was free. They didn't own slaves, believe in that. And then the South used slaves on their farms and stuff to pick vegetables, to do this, to do that.
Oh my gosh. That's sad. But are we the South or the North or the West or the East? I'm pretty sure that we're the West.
Well, where we live is on the West Coast, but we had nothing to do with that. Our ancestors weren't even here when that happened. We were back in Europe.
Oh, right.
Scandinavia?
Yeah.
And a little Italy?
We're giving away information.
That's okay. You can tell people we're Scandinavian.
We're Scandinavian.
My dad's from
Italy.
Denmark. My dad's from Denmark. Your mom's from Norway.
All Norwegian.
Yeah.
Hello.
You're going to Norway in 5 weeks. Can you believe it? It's going to be so fun, huh?
I can believe that.
You're going to see all your friends. Yeah.
Yes. They're called cousins.
Oh, yes, all your cousins, aunts and uncles. You got so many. I mean,
And grandmas.
You must have seriously like 15 cousins. No joke.
No.
Uncle Eric has
20.
4. Is it 20? Uncle Eric
It's
has
more like 20.
You have 4 cousins with just him. And then there's Meta and Siri.
Yeah, because mommy...
And then the dad's side of the family. Yeah.
Yeah, because mommy had lots of siblings.
Right.
And her best friend was Hilda, and they're really close. So I like to consider her kids cousins.
There you go. Sure, why not?
And then
they're very nice. They came out last summer, right? Late last year. You guys went down?
Mm-hmm. And I remember when my mom was in Canada.
Canada.
I want to say no, wait, like where she found my friend or her friend, her best friend, and then they are so close that they became basically like family. And then
Talking about Inger?
No, she was
what
like
you're talking about. Oh, Connecticut. Yes.
And
Marie.
I met her children, and we were basically cousins, and it was really weird because I had to kiss the boy person, and then...
Whoa, what do you mean you had to kiss the boy person? I didn't know about this. What are you talking about?
Because they were cousins, so I had to lightly kiss them on the I might be imagining this, but I don't know.
Is that because you were so young? You haven't been out there in years. You were tiny. You probably, maybe you had a little kiss because you're like 5 or something.
I did not like that. No offense if you're watching this, but I did not like that.
I have a feeling no one's going to ever see, or he'll never see this. I mean, all right, what else? We've been on the air for 37 minutes. Can you believe it? And we've really just been jabbering on.
I thought we've been on the air for 30 seconds.
Is that what it felt like?
Yes.
We got to...
My head hurts.
Why does your head hurt?
Sitting in one place.
Oh. All right, what else should we talk about? Oh, did you get that book?
Yeah. So I have a book here. It's called Here's What I Love About You. 12 cards with fill-in lists for friendship and romance. We are none of this. This is the father-daughter
show. Does it say that? I actually didn't see that. For friendship and romance. I didn't read all the fine print at the bottom.
But whatever.
I just thought about you. So go ahead. What do you want to say?
So you could hear right here. Can they see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
So it's like how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. It's in a fellow well-chosen words or phrases. You can tell the people you love why you love them, what you hope for them, why they make you glad, and more. The lovely make-a-list note cards in this collection are unique notes to be given or treasured as keepsakes or bookmarks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just the price, which was $12. You're expensive. No wonder. So
your store snoring.
I'm pretty sure that's you, Papa.
That's Thor snoring. Am I sleeping? What are you doing?
I'm dabbing.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing the dino dab.
The dino dab, is that the latest in dabbing technology?
Yes.
The dino dab. All right.
Yes.
Go ahead. What are we going to read?
So here's... Should I read this?
Sure.
Okay. So here's what I feel when I see you.
I wrote this to you.
Okay. So this is what he sees when he feels me, since he's my father. My heart feels warm. I feel happy. I feel blessed. I feel excited. I feel lucky.
Yeah.
I feel proud. I feel love. I feel loved. I have more to learn. I feel your beautiful heart. I feel your energy. I feel your innocence. Is that what it says? Innocence.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure I spelled that wrong.
I'm good at reading. I have a 5th grade reading level.
And you're only in 3rd grade. Hot
2
diggity.
grades above the rest.
Yeah, but you're almost. You got next week, and you're out of schoolio.
And then I'll still be reading because I
No
have
more
like
classes,
500.
no more books, no more teachers. Dirty looks. Except you have a great teacher.
I know.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so you have that, and then you have, here's what I find interesting about you. The way you see the world, that's smush.
I didn't finish this. Yeah. I only got a couple.
That you love to learn your optimism. Thank you. I'm never negative.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm literally never negative. I'm like, earlier today, I'm like, oh, Dad, why do you have to be so negative all the time?
What are you talking about? I'm never negative.
Up the stairs, you're like, well, you don't. Oh, because as the bet about the 5 things, he's like, but just to tell you, we're probably not gonna get 5 viewers.
Right. That's right before we came on the air. Right. Well, because I wanted to set kind of the realistic expectation for you. Trust me, I wish it would have happened.
Wait, how?
1 viewers, which might be the other computer. So it may be us watching ourselves. I don't know. Well, what's going on? So what's next?
Okay. So you haven't wrote anything here.
Right. That's it.
Here's
that
what
was all I wrote.
Makes you charming.
All right. Let's not bore the people. Talk about something. You got to keep it live, fresh. Oh, we got to get music. Hold on.
Are you saying I'm boring?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. But as long as I say it with some music in the background, it makes it all okay.
I love fake crying. I absolutely love fake crying.
You don't like ever cry unless it's like a sad movie.
Yeah. Or I get hurt really bad. But most of the times, like I remember I was at track. I fell really hard. Like my knees were bleeding. I'm like, whatever. And I run the track 2 times. Whatever. It doesn't really hurt. And then I'm like, well, I don't want it to get infected. So I didn't do Band-Aids. I just put some water on them and blah, 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 and then done. And then days later, because one of my knees were already infected. And then the other got infected. And I'm like, whatever. And then they went away.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, honey. You're silly pants. So what else is going on?
Last day of school.
Yeah. Last week, but yeah. We should call somebody. Who could we call?
Call me.
Oh, she's right in the middle of something with your sister.
Moo.
I don't think we're calling Norway.
Means grandma in Norwegian, and Moo is my grandma. So get with the program, person.
Hold on, let's call Tara.
Who's Tara?
My friend.
She's gonna be one of our viewers.
I don't know if she'll answer.
I'm gonna win this thing.
She's not viewing. She's like, we're trying to call her. Yep. She's not gonna answer.
Really?
Yeah, honey. What are you doing?
Sorry. I'm just nosy.
No, that's fine. There's just nothing to see on here. I need it like that. All right, let's see. You've got like nobody else to call.
Sherry?
No, she's in Nashville. She's out. Yeah, I didn't tell you. She's in Nashville, Tennessee. Going all country this weekend.
No fair. She gets to go to Tennessee.
Yeah. That's good, though.
How is that good?
Because she gets to go see cool stuff.
And we don't.
Well, we can go see cool stuff.
Think about it. We don't get to see cool stuff.
Yeah, but we don't want to be jealous because somebody else gets to do something fun. We got to be happy for them.
True.
Would we want them to be jealous or happy for us?
Happy?
Yeah. So if somebody else is doing something that we want to do, we just go, that's awesome. How do we get to do that too? And figure out a way.
Life lesson learned.
Yes, life lesson.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, I think that's enough. This is like 45 minutes. Now we've been on for 45 minutes. I know we talk like this all the time, so it seems like, this is just normal. But we got nothing else to talk about. What?
Can we call someone? Is there anybody else to call?
I don't think there's anybody else.
Anybody?
No.
Anybody?
Honey, that's loud.
Anybody?
I've already looked through. I don't see anybody.
Wait, Mommy is not sleeping?
No, Mommy's with your sister at the track meet.
Right. Wait, what time is it?
It is 9 o'clock. It's past your bedtime. But it's a weekend, so you can stay up. All right, well, I think that's it. I'm already bored. I'm boring myself.
Okay, so I'm not boring you.
All right, so we'll end on that. Will you stop?
Sorry, stop yelling at Snowflake. Stop yelling at me, Snowflake.
You're a snowflake. Because I'm telling you to stop and you can't handle it. You're melting. Ooh, he said no, I'm melting. Did you want to come over here and look at this?
I'm melting.
Take your headphones off. Come here. Come here, take a look at this.
Okay.
Use the microphone. All right, come here. Okay, there's the screen. You can see the screen. What'd you want to do? Don't touch those two. If you can touch those three. And you got to stop one before the other one plays. So that one's playing, so stop it. Okay, now. Is this the song we'll end on? Yeah? All right, well, that's been the Papa and Sofia show.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe down below. Follow us and make sure to
smash that like button. Isn't that what they say? That's what all the kids say?
Yeah, no. Lean your face a little closer. Smash that like button.
You hit me. You just punched me on live for millions and millions of people to see. I mean, nobody will ever see it, but at least one person will.
And that's us.
Okay, am I bleeding?
No.
You sure? It feels like you pushed the nose. It's sticking out of the back of my head. Like you punched me so hard.
You're dramatic.
I'm a snowflake. What do you expect? You hurt me.
I'd expect you
punch me right in the nose.
Where your nose is crooked because you once broke your nose.
Yes. Peace out.
Bye.
End stream.